President Buhari engages Senate President Ahmed Lawan on the state of the nation. PDP crisis takes a new turn as court restrains National Chairman Uche Secondus from parading himself as chairman of the party. We will have a conversation on that. The Petroleum Industry Act is still in the news. We will look at the local politics and the low-hanging fruits. State assemblies and local government councils, how freely do they operate without interference? We will be examining the struggle for authority and relevance at the state level. I am Fisayo Ogunfui. Welcome. The federal government says it remains resolute in its efforts to fully restore normalcy in Nigeria's security situation, as well as ensuring that all legacy projects across the country are completed and put to use. Senate President Ahmed Lawan stated this while addressing journalists after a strategic engagement with President Muhammadu Buhari.
Senate President Ahmed Lawan was in the State House to rejoice with and congratulate President Muhammadu Buhari on the achievements recorded so far in the renewed battle against terrorism and insurgency, leading to the reported mass surrender of the criminal elements in the Northeast. During the high-level engagement held behind closed doors, discussions also centered on the challenges of banditry and kidnapping in the Northwest and North Central, which they say must equally be dealt with decisively.
I'm happy to inform Nigerians that Mr. President has shown willingness and the desire to continue to give more resources to armed forces and other security agencies to continue to fight the banditry, the little bits of the insurgency left, and of course the other security challenges. And we are also fully in support of giving him all the resources that he will require from us in the National Assembly to ensure that the lives and property of Nigerians are properly secured. And before this administration leaves, by the grace of God, in 2023, the security situation would have been stabilized. But I don't subscribe to the idea of saying forget about people who are surrendering, all of them are criminals and the rest of it. What we need to do is to have a clearly defined national policy on how we deal with this, to ensure that everybody is sanitized, so to speak, before they are introduced into the society.
President Muhammadu Buhari and the Senate President also discussed the 2022 appropriations bill now in the works.
The budget 2022 will be the icing on the cake, so to speak. That is to say that we have to make sufficient provisions for our legacy projects. Our desire now is in tandem with what the presidency wants. That is to ensure that the legacy projects like the second Niger Bridge, the Abuja, Kaduna, Kano highway, and so on and so forth are completed by next year, by the grace of God, and Mr. President is able to commission them for Nigerians to benefit.
Senate President Ahmed Lawan used the opportunity to respond to what he called the baseless, unfounded, and mischievous allegations in some quarters that the presiding officers of the National Assembly were financially induced to pass the 3% allocated for host communities in the Petroleum Industry Act.
I really want to take this opportunity to take exceptions to those kind of unwarranted, false and fake information being fed to the Nigerian public. And the danger people will face with this is you cause unnecessary damage to the reputation of people. In the National Assembly, our focus is Nigeria. Our priority is Nigeria. We have no personal interest in anything. What will make Nigeria better is what concerns us. At the end of the day, we will have a date with history, and we want to be on the right side of history.
Ways and means of improving the nation's revenues towards reducing borrowing by government, as well as bolstering the strength and enhancing the capacity of the governing APC to continue to retain power in the country, were also analyzed.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says the Petroleum Industry Act, as well as Nigeria's gas initiatives, will help transform Nigeria into a gas-based industrialized nation and a better managed petroleum industry with more value addition for both investors and Nigerians alike.
The federal government, as Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says, locally launched into the brave new world for the oil and gas industry, with the Petroleum Industry Act 2021, adding that the main goal of the passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill and the gas initiatives is to transform Nigeria not only into a gas-based industrialized nation through enhanced accelerated gas revolution, but also to help create a better managed petroleum industry where both the people of Nigeria and investors alike can extract value.
While the federal government is building coalitions with other affected countries to urge a just transition as we advance to zero transmission, I will urge indigenous energy companies such as yourselves to join in the very urgent advocacy that is required to prevent the disaster that would result from defunding oil and gas projects.
And not only that,
the African Continental Free Trade Agreement will offer new vistas for business, but your participation and your contributions to some of the negotiations that are going on even now will be helpful to see that we're able to get the very best value from this next round of negotiations.
The next 25 years, Vice President Osinbajo said, will be defining for the energy industry.
The High Court of Rivers State has issued an interim injunction restraining Prince Uche Secondus from parading himself as the national chairman and member of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Honorable Justice Ogbasam of the Degema Judicial Division Vacation Court sitting in Port Harcourt granted the order on Monday following a suit filed by Ibewuchi Ernest Alex and Dennis Nna Amadi, Emmanuel Stephen and Emezirike Onucha against Uche Secondus as first defendant and the PDP as second defendant. The judge, after reading the affidavit in support of the motion ex parte as well as the written address, after the hearing of the submission of H.A. Bello, counsel to the applicants, granted the interim injunction restraining Secondus from parading himself as the chairman of the PDP. Meanwhile, the media office of the national chairman of the PDP says it has been inundated with calls from the media houses on a press statement sent to the newsrooms by one Kelvin Ebiri, who is a special assistant to the Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike, announcing a court restraining order on Prince Uche Secondus from parading himself as chairman and member of the PDP. A statement from the special assistant media to the party's chairman, Ike Abonyi, emphasizes that if Secondus and the party are taken to court, they will defend themselves. The PDP and Secondus, it adds, are not afraid of court processes, stressing that the party is a child of history owned by Nigerians bigger than any individual or group. We would have loved to get on Zoom to the National Secretary PDP Professionals Ambassador Kolawole Obisheson, but we won't be able to get through for one reason or the other why they try to resolve the internal crisis in the party. But moving on, before the latest salvos in the PDP, a critical stakeholders retreat organized by the party in collaboration with the Kogi State chapter of the party ended with a resolve to work towards more unity within the party and ensure future electoral victories.
The People's Democratic Party believes that the Kogi PDP Renaissance Group, as a consultative initiative of concerned party members, share common concerns in line with the party's efforts towards relaunching itself out of opposition. Chairman of the PDP National Reconciliation Committee and immediate past President of the Senate, Dr. Bukola Saraki, describes the retreat as a pointer to the readiness of the PDP to put his house in order, not only in Kogi but throughout the country.
But moving forward, we need to work as a united team. We need to reconcile. We need to be ready to sacrifice and set aside our differences and look at the bigger picture.
And I've always taken position that we have got enough great people in Kogi State that whatever be our problem, we can internalize our problem and find solution to them. And it has always been so.
Former Minister of Information and Chieftain of the PDP, Professor Jerry Gana, in a lecture titled Kogi PDP, Yesterday, Today and Tomorrow, enjoins partnership of the National Secretariat of the PDP with the State Executive Committee towards sensitizing the teaming grassroots support base ahead of the next election.
Kogi, you have no excuse whatsoever of being behind in anything. In fact, the union of bringing the Federal Republic of Nigeria together was signed in Lokoja.
Other speakers urged PDP leaders and stakeholders in Kogi State to go to the whole distance in reclaiming the governance of Kogi in the next governorship election. The Kogi West Elders Forum meeting on the sideline urged political parties and players to support power equity and measured balance in favor of the West Senatorial District. The meeting held under the chairmanship of Major General David Jemi Bewon, retired.
Moving to our second conversation now, many believe that for the nation to achieve holistic development, local authorities like local government councils and the state legislature must be empowered to play their parts fully. Honorable Idongeseti Twen, a former state legislator, joins us now on Political Update. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
A lot of people have said there's new impetus, especially at the state level, with people continuing to talk about local government autonomy. You have been a council boss, you have been a state legislator. What are the challenges? First, let's start from the state legislator, from the council boss, to fulfill their obligations. It seems as if for a period, under in some states, they were more like appendages of the governor's office.
Well, I think the problem still remains the people who are at the aim of affairs at the state, the governors, because the system has been emasculated by them. The local government are no longer as guaranteed in the constitution. They are operating as an appendage of the state. So the governors wants to be completely in charge of everything. So that's just the issue. When I was a member of the House, we had a big struggle in trying to make sure that there was autonomy. And in my state, we led a team, though we won by a single vote, but we were able to win to show that the autonomy is what we need for the judiciary, is what we need for the legislature, and is what we need for the local government system to function. Once the local government system will function as an independent arm of government, they will be able to, touch the lives of the people. They will be able to guarantee the security at the local level. They will be able to exercise the function as guaranteed in the Constitution. I think what we need to do now, and what is very important, is for first to guarantee the independence of the judiciary and the legislature in the state, so that the state can be free from the governors, and the local government will be free then to do what is expected of them.
All right. So when we look at this, in totality, at your level, for instance, what were your challenges? Were you able to achieve much as the chairman of a local government?
Well, not quite much, because one, unit funding, and this funding didn't come as expected because the state control most of the funding for the local government, so they may decide which project you will go into and the level of funding for such projects. So you need to operate at the capacity that you've been given. But for me, I feel that once we're able to free the various arms of government at the state level, because that is where the challenge is. Once the judiciary are operating independently, and the legislature is also operating independently, they will be able to checkmate the executive and free the local government system. Once the local government system is free, they will have their funds directly from the federal government, and they will be able to determine what is best for their people.
All right, talking about state governments now, state legislators now, a lot of people will say they are the closest to the people in terms of the specific needs of those states. Looking at your colleagues, at least your former colleagues across the country, have they been able to rise up to the occasion? Or is it still the same scenario of them being stifled or not wanting to offend the chief executive? How have they been able to navigate through the waters of politics at the same time of lawmaking?
Well, for you to function properly as an elected member of the state parliament, first you will need to act in a manner whether to offend or not. Personally, that's how I acted for all issues that concern my people. I don't care much about how the state executive, chief executive feels. So I always go for what is good for my people. And then you discover that not majority of the legislators will want to go that way, because the governors are still in charge of the party. So if you're a first-time member, they will also determine whether you go for re-election. So you need radical men and men who will love the state to be able to go against their wish. So it's always you could even be branded troublesome or not being in line. So I think what we need now is to make sure that the state governors are not also in control of the party machineries at the state.
Yes, moving from looking at that scenario from 1999 till now, you are still, at least a young man to a reasonable extent, and looking at all this. Would you say we are maturing, especially in this Fourth Republic? Are we maturing politically, or the system is getting is shrinking a little in terms of the overbearing influence of the so-called godfathers and then the governors and all that? It's how are we, performing politically in terms of even new faces emerging, the younger ones being captured, and then the general party we get to see sometimes when the polls come around, simply because people feel, the favorites have been pushed forward, and then why bother to vote?
Well, it's quite difficult here. I don't know how to explain it. It's quite difficult because you can't find yourself at the center if you are not linked to one person or the other. And I think that my generation is becoming too peaceful, becoming not too forward to be able to ask for what they want, because power is never given. So I want to encourage the much younger people who are more in number to push forward to demand and get what they want. Take, for example, the two major political parties are controlled by either the governors or some very strong members of that party. So despite the ideas you have, or no matter how smart you are, you may not be able to assess the ticket or become a candidate in that election. And our democracy is not that mature enough for independent candidates and people from lesser parties to be able to assess to be elected. So what I think is that, like I'm already starting in my state, the younger people must come out in number to show strength. One, you must insist on the things you want. If you want an open primaries, you must stand by it. And we are going to go as far as using technologies to make sure that we screen live the venues of those primaries. So since we have the number and we are ready, if we are united, we'll be able to have this answer. Other than that, it's worse than when we had before. Because before now, people could say, okay, this is who we want, and they will vote the person. But now, even if you want a person, you have to face an Herculean task in being able to even vote the person to have the ticket of a particular political party. So it's quite difficult.
Where does the voting populace come to play now, when we have all kinds of very bold talk like this many times, but when elections come around, we see them queuing for bags of salt and rice, and then the result go the same way again, especially when the money bags come into the system. We make all kinds of bold talk, youths for this, women for that. At the end of the day, we see wrapper and bags of rice, and that's the end.
I think it's even worsened by the economic situation. Is worsened by the economic situation, and some even programmed to be so in some states is worsened by the economic situation, because once the people are enlightened, well educated, when the people are empowered, when the people have what to do, there are certain things you cannot buy them with. So at that point, it becomes difficult to buy people. So what we need to do now is to educate people more on the need to be able to be assertive on the things they want. So for me and other young Nigerians, I've already started in my state. It's not going to be the same news. Watch at Akwa Ibom. We're looking at less than 50 who must be able to mobilize these people strongly and come out. And we know we need smart people who are already in a smart society to be able to govern. And then the older generation are not giving way.
Well, let's take a report. We'll come back to do our closing talk. The All Progressives Congress in Gombe State has received over 2,000 DCMPs from Gombe North and Gombe Central zones. Let's take that report. We'll be back.
Members of the All Progressives Congress, APC, jubilating as they welcome former Gombe Central Senatorial Zone Secretary of the PDP and former chairman of Yamal to Deba local government area, Ahmad Aji, and others into the APC in Deba, headquarters of Yamal to Deba local government area. It is the same scenario at Malam Sidi, headquarters of Kwame local government area, where former member of the Gombe State House of Assembly, Lamid Obubo Konflata, led his supporters and other politicians to the arms of the APC.
I saw what the executive governor of Gombe State, under the platform of APC, Alaji Inwa Muhammad Yaya, did on the development of Gombe State and Kwame local government and my ward and my constituency. That's why I decide I and my people to join the APC.
Gombe State Deputy Governor Manasa Daniel Jato, Acting State Secretary of the APC NTA Mangal, Chief of Staff Government House Abubakar Inwakari, and other supporters of the APC welcomed the new members into the party.
We are all going to join hands, whether you are new, whether you are old, whether you are yet to join the party. As long as you have that intention, we want you to come together so that we put hands together and ensure that this good work that we have started gets to an end.
The APC formed government in Gombe State for the first time in 2019.
That's our last clip. That's from Gombe, but that dovetails to my final set of questions. When you talk about use in governance and all that, where is the place of ideology? You also have changed party in the course of your development and all that. Why do we continue to change platforms? What about ideology as well? Does that play a role, or is just basically because of personal frustrations you need to change the plate and test a new cuisine?
Well, I think at this point, ideology is quite important, but being able to deliver is also much more important at this point. We've not been able to size up clearly ideological differences in Nigeria, so we have mixed ideologies. But you will soon find a new beginning where people will be talking about social governance. It may not be completely an ideological part in the politics, but it's going to be a new way of thinking of how government should be run. When I say social governance, I mean that the measurement of the success of a government will be determined by the well-being of the majority of the citizens. So this is where we are heading, and irrespective of whichever platforms, we are trying to see if we can mobilize more people to think at this direction. Take, for example, you go to a state, they will be talking of commissioning flyovers, commissioning big things, and they will not be thinking of what is the state of well-being of the citizenry. How many people are going to bed hungry? How many people are going to school with what they're supposed to use at school? What is the state of the curriculum of those schools? What will be the future of these students 15 years from now? So well, that's where we will be heading, because now you cannot clearly say I'm to the left or I'm to the right. But the major problem now is hunger, the major problem now is poverty, the major problem now is unemployment. So I think that we want to influence people thinking towards social governance, and any person that will be seeking election must talk generally on this issue, and people want to see how serious, how they will be able to implement some of this.
But is this not the same use when you speak a lot of English like this? They say too much English, show us the money.
No, it's not about that. I am talking as a person. I have a name. You understand? I've just referred you to an issue where we had autonomy.
No, I'm saying the youths.
Yes.
You are from the young generation, but we've seen a lot of situations where a politician comes and lines up very laudable projects, good ideologies and all that. They say the English is just too much. The man is too stingy, because they expect him to do something even before coming to climb the podium.
But you also understand that they are not also very comfortable with that system any longer, because once this money is given to you, that's over for you. And soon after that, you see go back to square one. And what's square one? Unemployment. What is poverty? So I think I've been interacting with a lot of young people that are beginning to think differently. You will see them rejecting some money this time.
Some?
And yes.
Not all.
I don't think that we will have all at this time, but it's better to start something.
All right, sir, on that very positive note, let me just ask you about this. Are you hopeful for the next generation of politicians, in spite of everything?
I'm quite very hopeful, though majority of the people have lost faith in politicians. But I'm hopeful because I still find so many who are willing to push to make a difference. And,
some may be saying you are using glasses to see that hope very well.
No, not just that, because let me tell you something. This country belongs to everyone, and we can't shy away. We can't say because the system has gotten this bad that we should allow it to get worse. No, that cannot happen. What is important now is to move up and see how we can change. A lot of nations have passed through this state, and people came, very few people came, and at a certain time changed the course of history of those nations. I belong to that, and in my state, And even in my political party, you could of very recent, you see what chairman of the APC in Akwa Ibom, 250 something, coming to say there was no Congress. That is where we're starting. You can't come to say there was a Congress when there was none, and the people will keep short. No. So we are beginning to mobilize the people, no matter who is involved, to say the truth and stand by them, irrespective of the funding.
All right, for the past 25 minutes, we've been talking with Honorable Idon Gesi. It when I wasn't able to ask you questions in the language about the Idioke, but another time we will do that. That's been political update for today. Thanks for watching on the Nigerian Television Authority, where we give you the very best of news, reviews, previews, and interviews. I always urge you to play your politics for the greater good and always help someone at this time. He will remember you for it. Fisal Gunfi is my name. Thank you for watching, and handing in the hands of God as we return again, God willing, on Friday. Bye-bye now.